Good afternoon. Today is the 28th of March, and I'm Michael B. I wanted to thank you for taking the time today. I appreciate you being here. I know there's many other places where you can invest your time, and I appreciate you investing it with me. Hopefully I can pass along something that will be of value to you and to your families. This is the ongoing podcast series regarding the anatomy of modern romance scams. It's where we break down how these scams really work, how trust gets built, how manipulation happens, and how they take hold in the gap between emotion and logic, causing damage not just financially, but to relationships and lives long before the losses and repercussions are fully understood. I know this because it happened to me. It's devastating, and my family and I will continue to work through the aftermath for a long time. My goal is simple: to pull back the curtain and expose how these scams work so you can recognize them before they recognize you. Now, I deviate from our podcast series as the week goes along. I do that because something impresses me that I think I need to pass along regarding these romance scams that are important for you to know at that time. I promise you that we'll get into the mechanics and we'll go very deeply into that, how it worked and what I did. But for now, I really wanted to talk about something that most people don't think applies to them, but it does. And it immensely helped facilitate this process when I was involved. That's why I want to cover it with you today. And that thing is being vulnerable. Now, if you'd asked me before this all happened, I would have said without hesitation, nope, not me. I'm careful. I'm experienced. I believed I was paying attention, and I was. But I was wrong. That's the bottom line. I was wrong. That realization did not come during the scam. It came after, when everything was gone. And believe me, you get honest with yourself very quickly in the moment you get ghosted. Now, I'm not asking for sympathy, and I'm not looking for excuses. I'm going through this painful process so that you and your families do not have to do that. But I'm helping, hopefully I'm helping you understand what I went through so that you don't. Okay? And if I ever come across like I'm an expert or that I'm lecturing, forgive me. I'm not doing either. I just want to share with you what I've learned. Now, vulnerability is not weakness. It's not about intelligence. It's about conditions. And for me, those conditions are real and were real. I have certain health issues. Usually I have intense pain daily. I'm on some pretty severe medication for that pain to help control it. There's isolation. I don't get out as much as I should or want to because of my physical limitations. Of course, there's time pressure, but we all have that, right? With our families and work and deadlines. And it all adds up. And especially for me, I'm getting older, the feeling that I needed to build something before my life here on earth was over. That added intense pressure. Now, in my professional life, I've always been an executor. I look for solutions, ways to make things happen, and got those things done. My personal life is much the same. But you can't barge into anything, no matter your reasoning or how noble these things may appear on the surface. Vulnerabilities in this situation mean pressure. Individually, none of these things break you. Together, however, they change how you think, and again, what they really create is pressure. Pressure, pressure, pressure. It's not always obvious at first, but it builds. Pressure to move forward. Pressure to believe this might work. Pressure to solve something that feels urgent. And pressure changes how you decide. It narrows your thinking. It makes certain risks feel acceptable. It makes certain questions go unasked. I really wanted to pause for a moment on that. It makes certain questions go unasked. You're going to get that little red light that spins in your head that goes, does this really make sense? That is self-preservation. I hope that you'll pay attention to it. But when that pressure is paired with emotional connection, that's when the gap between emotion and logic begins to widen. And that is where the danger is. Because these operators, they're not guessing. They are well trained. They are well versed in this game. They are watching. They're listening. They're testing. And when they find something, that little chink in your armor, they come back to it. Oh, you want to take a motorcycle trip across the nation. I love motorcycle. I want to go with you. Oh, you want to learn to fly. I always wanted to learn to fly. Can we do that together? You see where I'm going with that? Oh, you want to start a charity for children. That's been my lifelong ambition. They'll keep coming back to that. They'll come back to it. You'll make plans until it feels natural, until it feels like, hey, you know what? Was that your idea or my idea? Until it feels real. That's the part that people on the outside don't really understand. From the outside, the questions are pretty easy. And again, we've talked about that. How could you do this? What were you thinking? Why didn't you stop? Do you notice that those are all asked from an emotional, not emotional, but an intellectual standpoint? But from the inside, things feel real. Their relationship, it feels real. The opportunities, they feel real. And the future that you're building feels extremely real. It's an emotional involvement. And that's where you're under pressure. That feeling just gets stronger and stronger. And the pressure doesn't just influence decisions, it reshapes them. And this is where it connects back to what we talked about before. Romance scams usually don't begin with money. Now, let me qualify that just a little bit. Your experience may vary from mine. It may not be ideally the same. Okay? Mine was 4 months into it before we started talking about money. They begin in the gap, that gap between emotion and logic. And I hope that you'll think about that, because as that gap widens because of stress, because of isolation, because of pressure, for whatever reason, that's where these scams take hold. That's where they thrive, and that's where they live. So here's the takeaway. You need to understand your own conditions, not just your strengths, your conditions. Because vulnerability doesn't announce itself. Unless it's really catastrophic, it doesn't feel like weakness. It feels like normal life under pressure. Oh, yeah, that hurts. Well, I'm getting older. Okay? Awareness, and this is a point that I also want to stress. Awareness is one of the strongest forms of protection that you have. And that's why I'm asking you to assess your vulnerability. Okay? Because if you're aware, that means you can prevent. that helps. Awareness helps facilitate prevention, not just for yourself, but for the people around you, because everyone is a potential target. Believe me, if you're not directly involved in perpetrating this, you are a target, and everyone is human. I want to mention something, and I'll talk about this more as we progress, but I really wanted to talk about it now. And that is peace. Okay. I mentioned it before, like I said, but it deserves to be said clearly. Peace is something you don't fully appreciate until it's gone. It's like most things that you may not appreciate fully until you don't have it. But peace is so vital to your well-being and to your happiness. Without it, the stress, the sleepless nights, the loss of confidence, it changes you. Believe me, it changes you. So protect it. Protect your peace. Protect your family. Protect your circle. Because once peace is gone, you're going to find that the cost of losing your peace can be even far greater than the money loss, which is staggering and extremely painful. Now, again, the reason I asked you to do a self-assessment of vulnerabilities and is that it might surprise you that, I didn't realize that I had that. And it's not to drive you to therapy, though if you need a little tune-up, feel free. But assessment in this case, again, is prevention. So we'll talk about more details and more specific details, what happened to me in this scam as we learn more about the mechanics, okay? But please, if you're involved in these, delete, block, and walk. If you're not, delete, block, and walk. And if you're not to the end of it, please, delete, block, and walk. The solution is the same in all three scenarios. You will be glad that you did. You will prevent so much heartache and so many negative repercussions. I can't even begin to lay it all out. And we will talk about that in the future podcasts as well. Look, thank you for listening, for spending a few minutes with me today. This has been the anatomy of modern romance scams. If this episode helped you better understand how these scams work, what to look for, please consider sharing it with someone that you care about. Again, awareness is one of the most powerful tools we have to prevent others from becoming victims, and that includes ourselves. Join me the next time when our podcast number 13 will take the next step, the first small yes, and what that leads to, and how it starts to feel like, you know what, this might actually work. But believe me, take it from me. Listen to me, please. This is not true. These are a farce. There's nothing about these that is true other than what's going to happen to you if you go all the way out with this. Please don't do that. Until then, stay aware, stay protected, and always, always stay safe. This is Michael B. Thank you again for your time.